Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Costanza, a podcast about something. I am your host, Joe Costanza, not to be confused with famous sitcom character George Costanza from Seinfeld. This is
Wait!
episode.
You're not George Costanza?
No, I don't think so. It's not
I'm in
my
the
first.
wrong room. Let me get the fuck out of here. No.
I, sorry. Yeah, no, this is not a Seinfeld podcast. I apologize, but this is just me just not coming up with a clever podcast name, but whatever. This is episode 2, not recorded on the same day as episode 1. Even though I said that last episode, had a little bit of a technical difficulty panic, so I just decided, you know what, let's just hold it off till after the holidays. So we're here, cranking out one more before the new year. So,
To be fair, Joe Budden couldn't come up with a name for his podcast either. He named his shit, I'll name this podcast later, and he did like 50 episodes before he changed it to the Joe Budden podcast. You'll be all right.
Oh. So I am here with the two people who were in my last podcast, in my last episode. Jesus, I don't know how to do this. Iceberg Mike and my brother Jake, they're back. Berg's kind of gonna be on the sideline today because besides the last topic, he really hasn't really seen our first topic that we're gonna discuss. But before we get to that, I'm gonna kind of go towards a trailer that released in the beginning of the year of the month. We are gonna be going towards Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. They released a trailer in the beginning, December 3rd, from what I could tell on here. Godzilla X Kong. It sounds like a porn title, but besides that, so.
They really just should have said "and" instead of "X."
Yeah, they pulled a V Superman right now. I don't know why they did that.
Godzilla better not get stuck in a washing machine. Guess that joke didn't land too well.
In the last movie, Godzilla vs. Kong, they didn't speak, but I'm assuming it was a save Mothra scene where it's just Kong was like, "We gotta save Mothra." Why did you say that name?
Yeah. Why do you know that name?
Anyway, so Jake, you saw it, right?
Yeah, the trailer.
Of course
yeah.
you did, because I showed you. Anyways, so from what I could tell, it looks pretty good. Ish. I mean, let me just go through.
What would you give it out of 10?
The trailer as a whole?
Yes.
Probably like an 8, because I mean it just doesn't really show much. Well, it actually does show a lot, but I mean it just starts off with someone saying like, "Oh yeah, like we thought we were the hold on, let me just replay what it said. For most of human civilization, we believe that life could only exist in the surface or whatever, and then in the surface of our planet, and then it's like some Hollow Earth shit. Like there's like a whole different world in between. It's not like the Upside Down from Stranger Things. It's like a completely different world and stuff. And Kong, if you've seen the last movie, which I'm assuming you haven't, spoilers for that movie. Kong actually goes into like a Hollow Earth of some sort, and he's basically resides there instead of Skull Island, which he's been there for years now. So
yeah, Skull Island kind of got a little destroyed.
Yeah, and so it shows Kong going off, like, it shows, like, I forget where he's at. I think he's, like, somewhere in Egypt, but Kong is, like, coming out from Hollow Earth. You see, like, a gauntlet that he has. It looks like a fucking infinity gauntlet, and it kind of looks a little cool, but a little strange at the same time, because in the last movie he had Stormbreaker, and now he has a fucking gauntlet.
One could say it's a strange thing.
You could say that. Then it plays like a cute song, like "Oh, welcome to my world" and all that. And then the show's like Kong running somewhere. Shows the characters from the previous movie, and then it shows like a little like monkey of some sort. Like you think it's like a big like fucking ape and stuff. Kong thinks that, and then there's like a little like orangutan looking monkey and stuff. Probably related to the villain, but I'm just gonna call him Diddy Kong because I don't know his official name.
DK. Diddy Kong.
I don't think that's an orangutan. I don't know.
Is it? It's a red monkey, so I'm not gonna call him like a.
I mean, orangutans don't they have that weird like parentheses looking face?
Isn't orangutans like kind of orange?
Yeah, well, it was
not completely, but like they got like an orange look to them.
Yeah, like orangish.
I guess. I'm just gonna call him a redhead. So yeah, the redhead monkey, like there's like a little one.
I heard redheads have more fun.
So the main villain is like I think he's in. I don't know.
He's a big redhead monkey.
Oh, he has big fun.
This podcast is so stupid. I'm sorry.
Hey man, you talking about Godzilla and Kong? I ain't got shit to add. Gotta keep my relevance somehow. Why the fuck is that bird guy on it?
So, yeah, it says, Scar King's appearance somewhat resembles Kong's, but with proportions similar to a chimpanzee and red fur similar to that of an orangutan. So, fuck you, he is an orangutan.
Alright,
but so it said he resembles a chimpanzee. It's like a hybrid or something.
Whatever, I'm still gonna call him an orangutan. Why is this a fucking conversation?
So his name is Scar King, right? Is there any relation to Scar from Lion King?
Oh my God.
No, but, hold on, how did they spell Scar in The Lion King? Is it S-C-A-R or is it S-K-A-R?
Yeah, S-C-A-R.
Okay, yeah, because this one has a K, so I don't think...
Oh, they're trying to be fancy. Yeah. They're the type of people that use a V for use. Like, you don't get out of it.
Right. I'm not going to go through every nook and cranny of the trailer. It shows a little bit of Scar King before... Like, it shows, like, his eyes. Like, apparently he's, like... I don't know if he's blind or whatever, but he's got like some like bluish eyes, no pupils though, which is weird. And then it does show Godzilla, but it's not like, you know how he has like blue radiation or atomic breath or whatever.
Yeah.
It's fucking pink in here for some reason, which I made a Barbie joke like, oh, he just saw Barbie, but I'm like, did he like evolve or some shit? Like, I hope they explain it because. Somehow Godzilla turned pink. I don't know what is going on.
He's a Barbie monster in a Barbie world. Atomic breath. It's so fantastic.
Jesus. Yeah, so like I don't know what that is. Like maybe they'll explain it. I don't think Monarch's gonna explain it.
I'm sure they're gonna explain it in the movie. They wouldn't just do that and not explain it, right? I mean,
you'd be surprised. If
they wouldn't do that, would they?
What could possibly go wrong? Everything.
Yeah, so it does show a little bit of Scar King, and I'm pretty sure Kong actually goes into the lair of Scar King, and I have a theory about that. So the reason why Kong
theory.
The reason why Kong has that gauntlet is because Scar King probably fucked up his hand, like broke his arm or some shit, so he's got to have like a gauntlet to like have him like as like a little bit of a
move.
Yeah, sort of like that.
My arm hurts so much.
Yeah, he broke it. So he's gonna have like the gauntlet as like a.
I thought that layer that he was walking into, I thought that was like the same layer that Kong was in when he first found the axe. I think he just took over Kong's house or something.
He might have, but also remember that got destroyed.
Not completely. It's just a huge hole in the floor. That's easy to fix.
Yeah, but I swear it got destroyed, but whatever. That might be the case actually. He just took over and Kong's trying to get it back. But I don't think we've seen this like ape in like any other, because I don't think he was like in a Kong movie or anything related to
No,
fucking
I think he's
featured
new.
characters. He
But
might
it's
be
kind of
new, yeah.
weird that they're going to need both Godzilla and Kong to fight another giant monkey. I mean, it kind of seems like overkill. Like,
I mean,
it
to be
feels like it should
fair,
just be a Kong movie.
he did. Godzilla did need help to fight Mecha Godzilla, so I mean,
That's
I
because
guess.
Mechagodzilla was like designed to kill like Titans one on one. I mean, even Kong couldn't handle him by himself.
I mean, yeah, but Godzilla beat Kong, so I'm pretty sure like Kong's like, okay, dude, you beat me in a fight. I'm gonna need your help. This big fucking monkey's trying to attack me. I need your help. And Godzilla's like, yeah, whatever. I'm still like, I still don't give a shit about you, so I'll help you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like,
I
got
don't give
nothing
a
else.
shit about you, so I'll help you.
It's like we shot the fair one and I won.
Look,
And I don't really give a
I'm
fuck about you, but sure.
I'm getting over a cold and I'm fucking tired, so I can't think well. This is so stupid.
It's like fuck it. I want a good fight. He better be stronger than your weak ass.
I don't know how they're gonna do it, but whatever. And then at the end, it shows Godzilla and Kong running kind of like a fucking Infinity War type of scene, but it was kind of cool, but also a little cheesy. And that's basically the trailer.
It's becoming like the old Godzilla movies, cheesy.
It's Godzilla.
I mean, haven't they always been cheesy?
I guess you could say that. I mean, the first one ever made was actually pretty good, but then after that, it just kind of became
like the
a
only
joke.
serious one besides this new one that came out.
Yeah, then after that, it just kind of became like a joke afterwards.
Yeah, so like it's not out of the ordinary. It's just like,
I know, it's just that the MonsterVerse, like with 2014's Godzilla, it started out kind of serious. I never thought I would see Kong with like a gauntlet running with a pink Godzilla to fight an ape. I never thought I'd see that.
It sounds like a fucking fever dream at that point. Like it just went.
I know.
That shit sound like fan fiction.
Like if you went to me after I just watched the 2014 Godzilla and said, you know, Godzilla's gonna turn pink and fight a monkey with Kong, I'm gonna be like, what?
At that point, knowing my younger self, I'd probably just ask, "Who's Kong?"
you know who King Kong was. Don't lie to me.
No, I think I probably did. Yeah, but yeah. So probably, I think it looks okay. I mean, I don't think we needed another one, did we? Because I feel like Godzilla versus Kong. I loved that movie, and I thought like they didn't really need to make another one.
This is what happens when you have really good series. They don't want it to end, and they think if we keep on making more, we're going to make a lot of money. And really, for series like that, they should have like ended it like where it was. Like if they ended it with just Godzilla versus Kong, I think most people would have been satisfied with that, because I don't really see it continuing past this movie.
Well, they've been making movies sometimes to get tax write-offs, so that's probably what this is.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably wouldn't be satisfied because it didn't really get reviewed all that good. But I mean, there are other monsters besides Godzilla and King Kong to focus on. So like,
yeah,
I mean,
they could legitimately make a Godzilla cinematic universe.
They are. It's the MonsterVerse.
Yeah, it's pretty much already that.
Yeah, but if it's the Godzilla and King Kong show, that's sounding a whole lot like Dragon Ball Z Super. Whatever I think it's just Dragon Ball Super, where they focus on just Goku and Vegeta, and everyone else gets like the scraps.
Yeah,
and that's not. I don't like that. Use your characters.
Like, you think that they could focus more on like Mothra or Rodan movie or something like that? Like movie just about them.
I mean, Mothra's dead, but yeah, they could do that.
A prequel.
Like, what are some kaiju monsters? Like, isn't Gamera one of them?
I think so.
That wasn't. Yeah, but I don't think it's connected to like Godzilla.
They fought one time, I'm pretty sure.
No, they didn't. I don't think so.
Wait, no, I was thinking of Death Battle. Shit.
Yeah, that's canon, Joe.
No, I legit thought because I saw that Death Battle years ago. I'm like, wait, did they ever fight? But no, I swear to God.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna refrain from going on a tirade about Death Battle. Yeah, I got that.
Oh God.
It was years ago though. I don't watch them anymore, but yeah, it looks okay for the most part.
Yeah, the trailer. I mean, I don't think it'll be as good as Godzilla versus Kong because I mean, I really did like that movie. The human storyline was a bit
It was
a bore
ass.
fest. It was a bore fest, but for the most part, I wanted to see a lizard and a monkey fight, and I got to see that, so I'm happy.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's. Anyways, we're staying on the Godzilla train, but we're going to the Japan route now. So Jake and I think was it after Christmas?
Yeah,
Or was it on? Yeah, okay.
it was after Christmas. I think it was the 26th or 7th or something.
Yeah, so on the 26th, instead of seeing Aquaman, which I kind of did want to see, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm done with DC, so whatever. And I didn't want to see fucking Wonka. So I just decided, you know what? I've heard good things about this movie. Let's watch Godzilla -1, see how it is, if it's actually as good as they say. And I gotta say, it's one of the best movies of the year. Definitely.
Yeah.
Why is it?
It was really good. Like I think both critics and audience put it at 100%. It was just like
it got fucking Top Gun level reviews. Like it was very good. Like people loved it.
Like the story was so good that even if you took Godzilla out of the film, it would have still been a great film by itself.
But then it won't be about Godzilla.
I mean, to be fair, like how much Godzilla is in the movie? Like just like 10 minutes probably.
Yeah, little, but I feel like that they interwove the human story and Godzilla story so well that I think one could not exist without the other.
Yeah, I don't really want to spoil it because I feel like everybody should see this movie, but yeah, like the human plot lines, and especially in like the legendary films, like the modern MonsterVerse films, they're not good. Except maybe 2014. But
they feel
very dumb.
They feel disconnected. It feels like you're watching two different movies in a way.
Right. Oh, so it's like watching Batman v Superman.
It's like watching like Transformers.
Kind of like that. But for this movie, the first of all, the human story was actually interesting, and you actually like the characters, and it was also so well interwoven with the Godzilla stuff that you didn't really even mind if it cut away from Godzilla. Like you didn't mind, and it was even quite an emotional story. Did a good job of showing like post-war Japan and like the whole thing about like kamikaze pilots and stuff, and how Tokyo. No, but
you didn't cry.
No, Joe almost did, but not me.
I did at the end. I'm not gonna say which scene though, but
yeah,
it was very emotional. I think it did. Yeah, it did like survivor's guilt very well. It did like so much stuff.
Very well.
I'm also very happy that it wasn't dubbed because it was in all Japan. It was all in Japanese, but
got English subtitles.
Yeah, I forget. Wasn't some of them dubbed back then? Like, wasn't it like King Kong versus Godzilla or some shit?
Yeah. Okay, when those kind of stuff are like dubbed, I kind of seem to notice that they're not really as good when some of that stuff is dubbed. I feel like they like if you've ever seen like those old like movies like
Bruce Lee or some shit.
Yeah, like Bruce Lee, like it sounds like a robot's talking. It doesn't like have any emotion to it at all. Or like it would just be funny how you see like their lips move in Japanese, but they say something in English. It looks funny.
There's some anime that does dubbing really well. Like I haven't really seen any anime besides Steins Gate, but I think there's some I've heard that did it very well. But usually people would watch like the original subbed version, and that's probably why this Godzilla minus one is very good, because that's the acting was extremely well done. Like I
Yeah, it does a lot for like PTSD and survivor's guilt. I think like
yeah,
it does a good
and,
job in that regard.
and you feel horrible for the character because he goes through a lot of stuff in here that like, and it's I think it's mainly Godzilla's fault because he's like a big fucking wrecking machine and all that, just destroying buildings and all that, fucking trains and stuff, and like
They,
in the
yeah.
new MonsterVerse Godzilla movies, you're rooting for Godzilla. In this movie, you're rooting against him.
Yeah, he's just like a force of nature. It's like a menace, essentially. Like it
Right,
does feel like he's deliberately going out of his way to attack people. It
right.
genuinely like feels deliberate. Like I think in the film they mentioned like he was making a beeline straight towards Japan. Like he didn't just wind up there on accident. Like oh, I'm here somehow. It made it feel like he was actually purposely going towards the coast to attack people.
Right. It's not like, oh, he just ended up here accidentally and he's just fucking staying here. No, it feels like he's actually purposely trying to like, I'm gonna kill every single one of you and you're gonna deal with it. Like it's just
I'm gonna
he
expand
feels
my
like he's trying to,
territory.
yeah, he's like, I don't give a shit how many of you are there. You're getting the fuck out. You're trapped in
It
here with
it
me.
they did like I think like a thing where like he was like a territorial animal, like he'd like destroy a place and then he considers it part of his territory, and
Right.
it kind of just like I think they did mention that in the film, but
Yeah.
yeah, that film was they made Godzilla actually terrifying this time.
Right.
Like there were a few scenes where I'm like on the edge of my seat because
It
like
was legitimately terrifying. Like I've never been more scared of Godzilla in my life. Like he
yeah,
usually is like a big bumbling buffoon or just like a goofball or like even somewhat of a badass. But in here I'm like I kind of just don't want him here at all. Like actually feel like I got chills. I felt getting chills down my spine when like I think when he first showed up, or I think it was like at the end or some shit. Like he felt like really like a menace. And also wasn't the atomic breath a lot different?
oh yeah, it was,
Because like
but
in the, I don't mean to constantly compare the new movies to this one, but like I like both versions. I'm just saying like in the legendary movies, especially like Godzilla versus Kong, I noticed that Godzilla does his atomic breath a lot, and it doesn't like recharge and all that. He just constantly does it, and instead of like having like an after effect, like a nuclear explosion, like this movie, it just kind of just it's like a laser sort of like just kind of destroys everything in his path. So it's kind of like Superman's heat vision, sort of, where it's
this
just like
one it made it a lot more devastating, his atomic breath, and they kind of mentioned like, oh yeah, he needs to charge up again and stuff like that. And
I do like how they kind of nerfed him a bit with that. Like, oh, he has to charge up instead of just having him just do it whenever the fuck he wants to. I
because,
do
well,
like
I
that.
mean, they have to nerf him to like make him like
Right.
be like a threat like to humans and stuff like that.
Yeah, and when it happens, like it's just like in very like suspenseful parts because like there's one part where
Yeah, I don't want to
he
really
destroys.
spoil it for
I
people
know,
who
but
haven't
I
seen
know,
it.
but I know. I'm just saying like it's like extremely well done how they do all that.
But one thing I will mention, I won't get into specifics here, but I do like the humans' plan to defeat Godzilla. I thought it was a clever plan. Like I was expecting something dumb, like oh they're just gonna try to like nuke him or something. And it's just gonna make him stronger. But when I actually like heard the plan that they had, I'm like, geez, that actually might work. Like it was actually a really clever thing that they came up with.
Right.
And the whole film itself, like just like showing like how like the Japanese government during World War II, like how they had like that motto, I think just like die with honor or something. Like they didn't really like care much about their people during that war, and you kind of
Yeah.
see that. It does like a really good job of showing like the Japanese people perspective to World War II and how much it affected them. Not
Yeah,
just
and
with like the new, not
I love
just with
how
like Hiroshima and stuff. Like also like how Tokyo like was bombed. I think we bombed them actually. and everything was like in rubble.
We might have, I don't really remember that much of like World War II in Japan. All I remember is Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's about it. I don't even remember if Tokyo got bombed or not.
I think I don't know if we did it, but it was like one of the allies did it, I think.
Maybe. But I also do like how it's like the actual citizens that do it and not the government, because they don't trust the government at all. Like, this is like anti-Japanese government, which is pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah, because back then they were like trying to make an empire, so they weren't that good back then.
Like I haven't seen the older Godzilla movies. Were they like anti-American or some shit, or is it still?
They were anti-nuclear weapons, I'd say. They didn't.
Okay.
Because they just got bombed like a few years before the first movie came out, and they were still being affected by that. So it was very much anti-nuclear weapons.
Yeah, Godzilla was made because of the bombings, so like it's kind of fitting. And that roar is terrifying. I still hear it in my fucking head. Like it's really
nightmares.
Really I just wake up in a fucking
cold sweats.
Yeah, cold sweats. Oh my God, I can't get it out of my head. Please get out. The movie.
Yeah.
In other words, that movie traumatized me, and I need help. So.
You needed help far before that, my friend.
Shut up. Anyways, what else did I miss? Because they played. It's not really a spoiler, but they did play a couple of familiar theme songs in here. One of which that I didn't even know they played, but when they played those, it was just very great. Like, that's fan service done right.
What one did you not expect?
Apparently, no, there's one part, I think it's like at the end or some shit, where they do the do. Apparently they played a little bit of the King Kong versus Godzilla theme in there, like the original.
They did?
Yeah, I've seen comments on it, like on the theme song, and it's like, oh yeah, they played this part, like, I like the little nod to King Kong versus Godzilla. I'm like, what?
I didn't even notice that they did that.
Yeah, because I haven't seen the original movie, so I'm like, they did play that, and then I heard the original song. I'm like, holy shit, they did.
They might have like done like a mixture of like different songs, maybe from like the older movies.
It might have, yeah.
For like fan service.
That is pretty cool, yeah.
I know Berg doesn't have much to say about this because he didn't see the movie yet.
I know, but he'll definitely have something to say about the next topic we're talking about. But I wouldn't say this is my favorite of the year, but it's top 3 for sure. Like, I think Across the Spider-Verse and John Wick 4 are better, but I mean, you can't really compare any of them. But
they're completely different movies.
No, one's at that animated, point, and the other's John Wick. So.
I think that is like determined on which genre you like better, like animated superhero versus like straight up action versus like thriller versus like Godzilla.
Like a fucking drama thriller. Japanese movie, but yeah, drama thriller. But I mean, it doesn't really matter where I placed it. It was a fantastic movie. I definitely think even non-Godzilla fans should check it out because it might get you into the series. It definitely would. Out of 10, I wouldn't probably give it a 10 because no movie honestly gets a 10 for me, even though I say it does. Because there are some flaws even in movies that I love, but in here,
I'd give it a 10. I thought it was perfect.
Maybe there were some parts that I thought was a little slow, like they kind of dragged on a little too long with the plan. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I'm like, it was a good plan. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like, actually, no, not the. Honestly, I don't really remember if I had any flaws. Honestly,
I think it is a perfect 10. Many people say it like beats most Hollywood movies.
It definitely does, absolutely. Yeah, I'd give it a 10 probably. I can't really think of anything bad about it. It's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do like a best and worst of 2023 because there's a lot of good ones, but there's also a lot of stinkers.
Yeah.
This year had like it was like a complete mixed bag because this year we had like John Wick 4, Guardians 3, and Across the Spider-Verse, but we also had Five Nights at Freddy's, fucking Quantumania, and Indiana Jones 5. Like it's been a complete mixed bag. Crazy. And we've also
Yeah.
seen a lot of movies, so and shows.
I hated
It's also the last
Quantumania.
Quantumania was bad, but anyways. Speaking of Kang, I guess, because we just talked about Quantumania for a bit. Loki season 2 just wrapped up, and it's the first ever season 2 of a Disney Plus Marvel show, not including the Netflix shows like Daredevil or Jessica Jones. But yeah, so this was a first one, the first season 2, and then the second one is
Wait,
wrapping up with What If.
King wasn't in Loki though. Because you said speaking of King and then said Loki.
Well, a variant of Kang.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about the Kang. I'm talking about a variant. But
He
anyways,
Who Remains, yeah.
yeah, he remains, and also the other guy. Yeah, Loki season 2 wrapped up. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was it might even be better than the first season.
I definitely think so because I originally thought that Loki season 2. I'm like, I'm still at a superhero fatigue right now, but I'm like, I don't really know if it's gonna be good. I've been hearing good things about it. The first episode I really enjoyed. I thought that first episode was like a very good, because it ended off on a cliffhanger in season 1, and like I wasn't crazy about that finale. So I feel like especially the ending of season 2, I feel like that finale of season 1 got a little better because of season 2. But yeah, that pilot episode, I really liked Obi in here. If that's his name, right? Obi, the short round character.
Yeah, I think it was
Is Bird awake?
Ouroboros or something.
Yeah, Ouroboros. I think he's.
I don't know, man.
I think he knocked out when we were talking about Godzilla.
Might be. I think it was pretty tired. But
yeah.
Loki, I was just cracking up how like he just kept on going through like the different timelines, and it's like, oh, it would take you like I think 100 or like 1,000 years to learn this knowledge, and it said 1,000 years later or something.
Spoilers for Loki, by the way. I'll put that in
I
feel like we're kind of jumping all over the place, so we'll just kind of save that for like when we get to episode 6. But yeah, I thought the first episode was great. I wasn't crazy about episode 2 or 3 because they were kind of like the slower points, especially the Breaking Brad episode. Fucking amazing title, by the way. That was great.
And it stayed true to what they were trying to do in that episode.
I know, but that's what makes it even fucking clever, is because like it's like a pun on Breaking Bad, but also they're literally breaking Brad, so it's kind of funny.
Also, yeah, you do need to put like spoilers in the beginning and let people know that.
Yeah, of course. But I'm pretty sure it's been out for over a month, so I'm pretty sure people have seen it by now. I enjoyed Jonathan Majors in here, which I wasn't crazy about He Who Remains, and I found Kang to be the best part in a shitty movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. But like, I feel like he was kind of like I wasn't really too crazy about him, but in here with his what the fuck's his name? The dude from like the 1800s with the glasses and the
I forgot his name. Yeah,
I gotta search it up because I thought that version of Loki or that version of Kang was really good.
Yeah, and this was before like all that stuff came out about Jonathan Majors.
Well, it was during that, but yeah.
Oh, it was. I thought it was before.
No,
it's been a little bit since I've seen those earlier episodes of Loki season 2. I kind of remember like the finale really well and like the last few episodes.
Right.
But I don't really remember the earlier ones that well. Besides maybe
Victor Timely, that's his name.
Richard Timely. Yeah, that's right.
Victor with a C. Yeah, I thought he did a good job, like his whole like presentation and all that, and just the way he delivered his lines was pretty great. Um, I also
They
liked him in
really made him
Creed, but
an oddball, really.
they did, yeah. I did like him in Creed. Like Jonathan Majors is a good actor. It's just a shame what happened to him, but I'm not really that um, educated on it, so I don't really have anything to say. Um, but yeah, I thought that Victor Timely was good, and seeing He Who Remains again, that was kind of shocking to me because I didn't think we'd see him ever again. But that was kind of cool seeing him.
Yeah.
Um, Mobius he was the best part of season 1, and I think he might be like the second best part in season 2.
Yeah, I do find it funny how like in the first season he was always obsessed with like I think it was like surfboard and going like on
Jet
a boat
skis.
and jet skis, yeah. And then he's running a shop and where he's
Yeah,
selling jet
in the real
skis.
world, yeah.
It
And
showed
episode
why he was
4
so
was
obsessed with it.
like if you notice, like there's like a lot of in a lot of Marvel shows, or all of them kind of, episode 4 is like the best episode usually in those shows, because like in Falcon and Winter Soldier it was like the part where John Walker was killing one guy with a shield, and then in Hawkeye it revealed Yelena and all that. It was like always like the best episodes, and it was always like the turning point in the series. And it was the same for here, because when the multiverse or whatever was kind of like collapsing, Victor Timely fucking died, and everything just it was like an Infinity War ending,
I
and
was
it
caught
was kind
so
of
off
crazy.
guard when that happened. I was shocked, and then they just made like a joke out of it later on, and it kind of became a little funny because they kept on like showing it like the timeline
Well,
being
yeah,
reset, and
because
then they kept on doing it over and over again.
that's one of the rare moments where I don't even care if it was a joke, because like if it was in that moment where like Victor Timely died the first time and they made a joke out of it, I would have just like turned off the TV right there, because that's something like Love and Thunder would do.
But
But
I did find it funny, like how like he was trying like to find every way to like speed it up, and like he ended up just having to make his own version of it, like learn everything that Ouroboros knows, and he's like, "Oh, it'll take you thousands of years," and it just said like 1,000 years later, and it's
yeah, or
just like
like fucking centuries. That was so funny.
centuries later, and then he's like, like, "Okay, I need you to get in there. Don't ask any questions. Just go." And then even when he managed to actually succeed, it still failed, and he's like. He did like every possible outcome he possibly could to avoid that.
I'm surprised.
Like,
I'm surprised Loki still turned out to be like a hero. Because if I was in his shoes, I'd just go back to being a villain. Because I'd just be like so like fucking crazy and out of my mind that like, you know what, I can't take this shit anymore. I'm just
he's.
gonna.
I think he's just terrified of everything ending. Like he always wanted to rule over others. I don't think he wanted like everything to like just be destroyed and everything to just end. Like all like the timelines and multiverse to just end. So I think like he was trying to. I think in the end he kind of got like a perfect compromise. Like he was able to save the multiverse, and in the end he got that throne that he always wanted. He always wanted to be like to rule over
Yeah,
something, and he finally actually got that.
Yeah, he fulfilled his glorious purpose.
And I think he made like the timelines in the form of like that tree, and I think that tree is like important for like Asgard or something. Not that well versed in Norse mythology, but that
Right.
I think he made it in like a form.
Or whatever.
I think it is the tree of life or something, but yeah, and, like I think that kind of explains like why we have all these alternate timelines, like the Toby's universe and like the what
Fox
ifs,
X-Men and all that.
because if the timeline's like branched off, like in Loki, like since like He Who Remains, like he's kind of exists outside of time, it means it kind of like it always was that way in a way. So even if like the Toby, so even if like the
why all the villains, like obviously it was because of the spell, but do you think part of that reason why they appeared in the MCU is because of Loki, or is it just because of the spell?
It is, because all those other universes, like I was going to say, even if like the Sam Raimi's movies were made first, it doesn't matter. It's almost like it always was that way, because since they exist outside of time, it's like a paradox. Like it always was branched off now or something. So it's like the events of Loki cause those other timelines to exist, and then they all kind of connect. It's really confusing when you're talking about like time travel and stuff like that, or like
I mean it never makes sense. So
it never does. So
they
it's
pulled
like
the Spider-Verse basically, where it's just like it's like I think they called it a Nexus event, but it's basically like the canon event from Spider-Verse.
Yeah, a Nexus event, yeah.
And I completely forgot Sylvie was in the show. She annoyed the hell out of me in the first season, but in here she was kind of cool. Like I didn't hate her in here. She's fine.
Yeah, she was fine in here. I find it funny how like the life that she wanted to live was working at McDonald's. I found that funny.
That is very
of all
weird.
the things you could do with your life, you chose that.
I'd rather rule the world and work at McDonald's. That's just like I'm just saying that right now. I'd try to be. I'd rather be the god of mischief if I had the choice. Like, would you rather flip burgers for a living or take over the universe? I'd take over the universe. Not actually. That was a fucking long pause from you. What the fuck?
Not really. I'm not actually an evil person. Maybe.
I'm not actually evil. I don't have a glorious purpose. But yeah, who else am I forgetting?
Is Berg just like sleeping?
Yeah, I think he knocked out. I
maybe
feel kind of bad.
Maybe if we mention Black Widow, he'll wake up. Just start saying that Black Widow is the best MCU movie, and he'll wake up.
It's not as bad as people. It's not as bad as you say it is. Taskmaster is actually really good. It pains me.
No.
It fucking pained me to say that. God,
I was so disappointed with that.
So bad.
I hated
it. In a very mid movie, I'm like, yeah, Taskmaster was easily the worst fucking part. But yeah,
damn, that didn't wake him up. I thought of all things that would.
Fucking Batman v Superman is underrated gem. Fucking Iron Man 3 is the best Christmas movie.
Oh, he woke up.
Oh shit! Never. We're trying to wake you up.
What kind of blasphemy is this shit? Black Widow is probably the worst superhero movie I've seen next to fucking Batman v Superman.
It worked.
We were trying to wake you up, so.
My bad, dog.
We're in the middle of discussing Loki, so.
Hell yeah.
So what are your thoughts on Loki?
Season 2.
Loki season 2. I didn't quite I didn't get it at first because the way they decided to unfold the story was a little weird. But by the end, I got what they were trying to do. The whole season was about closing the Ouroboros loop, like finding a different way to have the events play out, and they did it so masterfully. It was. There's one thing I wish was I think this was a fan theory. I don't think the show really, like, the evidence is kind of there, but you know, it didn't turn out this way. I really wanted the little boy who worked at the McDonald's Sylvie worked at to be a young Mobius. I really wanted that to be a thing, but it was more speculation than actual. This is the plot. But I thought that would have been so cool, and it would make more sense why that Sylvie went to that specific McDonald's in that timeline.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that there was a theory for that.
I forgot the boy was even. I forgot about that little boy in McDonald's until you mentioned it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the boy that's in the Iron Man movie. It's like yeah, it's a thing, but I guess it's more like an Easter egg, if anything. It wasn't meant to be
I guess.
something to be taken that seriously.
I don't even remember a boy even being there. I don't even remember that.
I kind of dozed off during that because I think it was like I mentioned, episode 2 and 3 were like the worst episodes, but they were still good. It's just like, okay, it's kind of like dragging on, which is fine, but it got a little like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say too boring, but I'm just like, okay, that's it's kind of like on the downward spiral of the show, but it was still like it ended up like the last 3 episodes were super good that I could just forgive the show entirely.
Yeah, I think part of that might because they had to scramble to fix Loki season 2, because I think they had to redo episode 5 completely. They didn't say for what reason. There's just a lot of the stuff got left on the cutting room floor because it was it definitely felt like they did something with it because Victor Timely was a big part of episode 4. Then he's like pretty much absent from episode 5. Then back at episode 6. But
I feel like what they were originally going to do is just make like another cliffhanger to Secret Wars or King Dynasty, but due to the fact that Jonathan Majors had like that whole situation go on, they just switched it to have Loki be the main timeline guy.
Yeah, they left it ambiguous. I think Loki was always meant to take the reins from Kang, but I think because they shuffled it up a bit, they it pretty much made it like, oh, that Kang guy, oh, we dealt with him already. Right. There was a problem in 616 adjacent, but you know, they handled it.
What is
they answered their job?
Timeline? Yeah, what is the official timeline? Is it 616 or 199999?
I think it is supposed to be like the one with a bunch of 9s, but for some reason they decided to fuck with the timeline and say 616. Marvel can't make up their minds.
So Iman Vellani, the woman who plays Miss Marvel, she doesn't even know, and she's kind of like the person. It's kind of like a joke, I think now because she brought it up, but I don't like it. It's supposed to be 199. I think it's like 6 9s. I'm not saying all that shit. It's supposed to be 199, but
6 9s. I thought it was legit like 69696.
I mean, it is the fun number. No,
best timeline.
I think it's supposed to be that, but because fucking Multiverse of Madness fucked it up, it's kind of ambiguous now.
Yeah, I thought they like confirmed all the way, like I think in like phase 2, like that it was like the 9s for the timeline, and that's how it always was. And then they just said, and I feel like whoever was this
comic timeline, right?
Yeah, that's a comic timeline. But for some reason, I don't know if it was Sam Raimi who did this or if it was someone else in the production. They just said, yeah, let's just make it 616 and confuse everyone, and then everyone else just kept on saying, oh, it's 616, because they never actually said it in the actual films. It was 1999, but Marvel Studios, I think they did say it at one point that it was. But now it's all messed up.
I think because in the comic books, they had a similar thing, and I forget what had. Well, it's 616, obviously in the comics, but I think that there was a different it might have been like 1,000 something. It was 2 different timelines, and because I think the Ultimates was its own timeline designation, and then you had the regular Marvel stuff, and then they had that crossover event. I think it was Secret Wars that happened, and they ended up fusing the Ultimates line with the regular Marvel universe, so you could have characters like Miles Morales, Spider-Man, and the regular Spider-Man in the same universe, because they're not supposed to meet up, but because of how the storyline played out, they ended up like taking. They basically rebooted it and took bits and pieces from each, and just made a streamlined timeline, which is probably what they're going to end up doing with the whole because they acquired Fox, so they have pretty much got everything back. So I think what they're trying to do, they're kind of trying to establish a faux Fox universe and have that timeline merge with the current MCU timeline, and then probably both universes are going to get destroyed, because that's the whole thing. Is like you either, when an incursion happens, either one universe gets destroyed, either one, but they both get destroyed. So what's probably going to happen, both are going to get destroyed due to the events of the incursion.
What is the incursion?
Well, incursion is when two different realities merge into each other, like they the seal between them gets eroded and they start to touch. Like normally none of this, like you don't like, I don't know if you saw What If, but normally the universes don't touch, but between all the time travel, interdimensional travel that all the heroes are doing, and I guess the villains are doing, things are just all messed up. In Multiverse of Madness, you had they showed you what the incursions look like. I think there was two different worlds that you saw. The one where the corrupt Stephen Strange was a result of his universe getting destroyed because of incursion. And
I haven't seen season 2 of What If, so I don't know if all that stuff was explained in there. I haven't seen the first one.
It was season 1.
No, they explained it in season 1, and they also explained it in Multiverse of Madness. But they kind of did a poor job explaining it in Multiverse of Madness, because a lot of that stuff was supposed to be like the end result of incursions, but then it's not clear.
Yeah, and it's been a while since I've seen the first season of What If as well.
I wish they would have took more care with Multiverse of Madness, because if you saw the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, it does a better job of managing a multiverse and how different calculations, how shit could happen. I didn't want Multiverse of Madness to be Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I at least, when you give me the title Multiverse of Madness, I'm expecting you to go to different universes and interact, and things are going crazy. They barely did that. That trailer for that movie where you see them go for the 12 or however many universes all at once. That's the most that they show. And then the other universes that they go to and they spend a longer time in, it doesn't feel like they did a good enough job of you living in that universe and understanding oh, okay, this is how things go in this universe. They barely did it with the first one they went to, where she claimed that food is free even though it wasn't. But they was trying to explain the rules of a different universe, but then that's the only real time they try to put some explanation on multiverse travel. And then Chavez's power not being she can't control it. It doesn't help that, because she would be her character and her power would be an easy way to explain everything, but because she can't control it, and she's like a MacGuffin basically, because Scarlet Witch wants her to travel to the universe where she can reclaim her kids, even though that's a whole nother can of worms I don't want to get into.
Yeah,
they didn't watch WandaVision before making this movie. So,
I know. I feel like they ruined Wanda in that movie.
Bro, they really did.
I really liked her character. Ever since Age of Ultron, I liked her character development throughout the movies, and finally in WandaVision she like let go of like this happy life that she wanted and decided to like give it up just to do the right thing, only for the next film to be like, you know what, all that's character development in that show, yeah, screw that, let's just make me evil now.
Down the toilet. And
like,
I yeah, like you, I loved her character before WandaVision. WandaVision just solidified. She's one of my favorite characters in fiction, period. And Multiverse of Madness destroyed all of that shit.
And even in WandaVision, I kind of thought what she did was a little messed up. Like, I know in her mind, she, like, didn't know in her mind that she was really imprisoned in that town. She thought, well, like, none of them are getting hurt, so it must be okay. But, like, once she realized it, she decided, like, I have to, like, lift this spell and stuff. Like, I have to make amends.
It was ambiguous. It wasn't, like, evil, twirling my mustache evil. It was like, I'm going through it right now, and I didn't realize what I was doing.
Yeah, she kind of did it on accident. Like, I guess she, like, kind of just went with it, like, because she got to have a happy life, but, like...
Right.
We are tangenting, though.
Yeah, we are.
Back on to Loki, I forgot about the time skipping thing that Loki had, because it turned out to be hilarious, but then it also turned out to be like a very serious thing. Like,
yeah, very cool.
Give me a second.
Okay. Episode 5. Yeah, episode 5. Long uncomfortable silence. Just wanted to say like and subscribe if you haven't already, and even if this podcast is kind of shit right now, we're still kind of adjusting to this and getting into the basics of it. I still appreciate you guys hearing this and listening for about like an hour and a half, depending on how long this is. And also the schedule might be a little screwed up because I still have not finished editing episode 1 as of today, December 29th. But I don't know when I'll upload these, but it'll definitely be weekly. Probably I kind of want to do Fridays, but it could be a little screwed up for now. But by like episode like 4 or 5, I should be able to have like a decent schedule on it.
And also remember to share the video to your friends so we get more than 4 views, okay?
Yeah. But anyways, the time skipping I really enjoyed. That was, I guess it might have been a little... Nah, it was actually good. I was about to say it went a little too overboard, but no, I thought what they did with it was very good.
It was hilarious. And they actually turned it into a cool power that he had.
Yeah. It was done really well. I wonder where they were going with it at first, because it was like kind of freaky seeing him spaghettify. But then I as the episodes went on, I was like, oh, like, I wish that Quantumania baked in the oven a little bit longer, because that whole spaghettification and possibility storm stuff, I'm not sure how relevant it's going to be now, because they kind of regulated Kang to like a villain that we defeated already. But if we were to get like the raw story like we were supposed to be getting, I feel like that stuff would have been a whole lot cooler if it was developed a little bit better, because Quantumania is pretty much like, I'm not going to say like a sequel to Loki season 1, but it kind of is. It kind of functions that way in the timeline because of how the events flow. And it would have been so much cooler if like if they would have just planted the possibility storm stuff and spaghettification in a lot sooner, like in different stories. Like,
also,
oh, go ahead.
I just want to say I was really I was looking forward to the Quantumania being like Loki, but I was just really weirded out by everything in that film, like all the weird creatures there, MODOK.
I mean, you know what the funny thing is? The weird creatures were like the least bad part about the movie.
Ironically, yeah.
Everything else about it was just bad, but we'll talk about that some other time.
Some other
But
time.
also kind of going on to Quantumania as well. I kind of hate how they chose like the scene that they chose at the post-credit scene to show, because at the end of Loki season 1, Mobius didn't even know who Loki was, and it ended off on sort of a cliffhanger. I wish they didn't show Mobius and Loki together, because that even when I saw Quantumania, I'm like, wait, didn't he forget about Loki?
Yeah.
Wait, what the hell?
They did show the scene in Loki season 2, but like, yeah, they shouldn't have revealed it so early.
Right.
Yeah, because like he kept going to different stages in time. I guess that was the thing I was requesting, like them planting it beforehand, so you kind of know. But they didn't really explain it. It was just like a scene out of context.
Right. And then for back on the time skipping, I completely forgot by like episode 4 that he had the time skipping. It wasn't until I found out until like the reveal in episode 5. I'm like, oh yeah, he can time skip.
Yeah,
I forgot about
he
that.
just somehow found out a way to just stop. He just stopped one day, like, hey, I'm not time skipping anymore.
It just stopped out of nowhere, and then like it just felt like a what's the word I'm looking for? Just it felt like kind of like a convenience whenever he needed to time skip, because like he could have died in the explosion or whatever the fuck. He could have just went back to his regular timeline if he didn't time skip right then. So it just kind of feels like kind of feels weird that happened in that particular moment. But yeah.
Well, he who remains paved the road. So that was gonna happen the whole time.
Yeah, did He Who Remains just be like, fuck it, let's just make Loki the king? Like, did he just not care anymore, or did Loki break the like fabric of reality doing that?
Well, I think what it is, I think He Who Remains wanted Loki to take over, but he wanted it to be on his terms. Like, I don't think he wanted the Yggdrasil tree to be the loom. He wanted his loom to be the thing that keeps resetting the time, so to keep the whole thing is he didn't want his variants to reappear, but he also was tired of being the guard, so he wanted someone else to be in his place, but also keep like what he put into place in place. And Loki was like, "Nah, I'm not doing that." But he's like, "Sorry," but Loki outsmarted him because he could time slip. I don't think He Who Remains thought that part out.
Because He Who Remains, I feel like he had a different motive, because he tried to convince Loki to kill Sylvie, telling him like, "Oh, it's the only way." And then I think that because Loki became just like He Who Remains, because He Who Remains could also time skip as well, because he was able to like freeze time and stuff, and Loki ended up getting all the same abilities he did. I think that because they were like equal entities, he can no longer like predict him, and he's like, hey, I gotta guide him to a path I want him to be on before he like makes his own decision. So like the whole thing of like, I paved the road for you like a second time, I don't know if that was a dumb plan or not, because again, like, what was his original motive?
I think what it was, he didn't realize by allowing Loki to time slip, he was able to see a different way to do it. I think there was something to do with the equation. He said something about an equation, and then when Loki looked at the chalkboard, he's like, well, I'll just change the equation.
Yeah, change the equation. Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's like, yeah, because you basically, I don't know if y'all seen Naruto, but there's a character there named Itachi, and he got killed, but then he got revived back with this technique called Edo Tensei, and he had to fight this guy named Kabuto who brought him back to life. But when you're brought back to life as an Edo Tensei life, I guess, you're basically, you can live forever. You're like a zombie, but you have sentience. So he kept fighting Kabuto, and then he realized how to beat him. If I'm gonna keep coming back and you're gonna use the same thing against me, I'm gonna eventually see a way around it. Every technique has a weakness. So if Loki is reliving like Groundhog Day, the same thing over and over. He's eventually going to figure out a way around the thing. There's going to be like some type of exploit. And he found the exploit. Instead of just relying on the loom, he takes the loom out of the equation and makes himself the loom. And I don't think He Who Remains figured that part out. I think he just thought, oh, I'll just make this device that keeps resetting the timeline in case it gets out of my control. He didn't think to hold it. He probably couldn't hold the timeline because Loki is a god. He's not a human. He's a god. So his physiology is different. He's actually able to hold the strands of time. So instead of using a device to be the loom, Loki becomes a living loom. And that's why he was able to outsmart He Who Remains, because instead of using his technique, he made his own technique. And the problem with that is there's no more reset, and all of the Kang variants can pop out of nowhere. But I don't know if they're going to do that now because they're trying to go in a different direction. But had they still gone into the Kang direction, it would have been a big mess.
Because the loom did enable like the ability for like the timeline to be reset over and over again.
Exactly.
But now that Loki is the loom, he's just making all the timelines exist simultaneously.
Exactly.
So it would just continue to exist forever.
Mm-hmm.
That was really clever. Yeah.
Yeah. He Who Remains is loom. No matter what, all y'all Kangs are dead, but now they have a chance to actually live. But I don't think we'll ever know how that plays out unless they choose to recast Kang, which I'm not sure they can do. I think there's something in Jonathan Majors' contract that he can only play Kang, but I don't know if that contract gets dissolved because he gets dropped. Like, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how none of this shit works, but
also the fact that Quantumania showed like 80,000 fucking Kangs at the end, like it's just kind of
it's like, bro, like this genie's already out the bottle, dog. You already shot your bullet. Can't put it back in the gun.
And now they're like making it like the
multiverse is already super confusing because there's like it's like a different thing for every hero, because like for Spider-Man, obviously Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland, they have different faces and stuff, but they're the same character. But for Doctor Strange, it's like Benedict Cumberbatch for everything. It's so weird how they do that.
Yeah.
And I think for Wolverine, I think it's gonna be just Hugh Jackman for like all of them or some shit. Like it's very weird how they do that.
I think it was more of a fan service thing to bring back those two. Probably, I think they try to explain it away. Some universes that the character looks different. They kind of have to do that for What If, because I don't think they can get Ronnie Downey Jr. to voice act, because they've been using a different voice actor for What If. So I think when it comes to variants, it's like it's going to be the same person most of the time, but if we can't afford the guide, it's going to have to be someone different.
Right? Yeah, and I will admit, the whole multiverse thing, I kind of knew that the moment that they were going to do that, I felt like the series was kind of going to end, because I feel like it's kind of it feels like, it feels really mind-boggling, and I thought they're not going to really be able to keep this up without either confusing everyone or making like a serious mistake, like setting up King to be the villain only to have like him not be the villain anymore.
There's three problems with the MCU currently. The first problem is Endgame. Endgame was too good of a movie for them to really continue and keep that level of gravitas up. People are expecting everything to be on that level, and like that's like the denouement. That's like an ending. You're not gonna get to those heights again without building up again. So people like see stuff like Eternals and get upset, but it's like they already dealt with Thanos. There's no big looming threat. Like what do you expect them to do? They have to start building up a new threat.
Yeah.
Also, it
So
just feels like they're throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks. Because it just feels like there's some. Well, I'm not saying all of modern MCU is bad because we got our No Way Homes and Guardians 3s and stuff, but a majority of it's just like what's going on? Like it's like why is
the
fucking
second,
Winter
uh,
Soldier in the
uh,
same phase as like Shang-Chi? Like what the
uh,
hell?
I'll explain that to you. Second reason why the MCU is in trouble is because Phase 4, I honestly think it was a good phase for what it was trying to do, but it didn't codify what they were trying to do with an Avengers movie. There should have been a young Avengers at the end of Phase 4. And the fact that they didn't do that, that kind of fucked it up.
They were setting that up too.
They were setting it up the whole time. It was subtle, but it was there, and they could have executed that, but they didn't do that. So that's the second reason why the MCU is fucked up. The third reason why the MCU is fucked up is not the MCU's fault. People die. People get arrested. People decide to they not want to deal with the series anymore because of mishandling. Like Thor, Chris Hemsworth, Jonathan Majors got arrested. Chadwick Boseman passed away. All of these things, like these acts of God or these like really strange things that don't normally happen. Like when you make a movie or a show, you make the shit and that's it. But because how the MCU works, where it's basically like an anime and it runs for however long the story's going to run out, you run into these human problems where things just like put a monkey wrench into what you're doing, and it's just hard to navigate. Then you had COVID happen where you had to fall things back and you couldn't do stuff. You had the strike, the writers and actors strike, so they couldn't even do any filming. So they're just sitting on their thumbs like, oh, this is some bullshit. Then you have the problem with Sony not wanting to. Well, they want to play ball, but they want to play hardball because they want to keep their hands on Spider-Man for as long as humanly possible. I don't even think Disney can get Spider-Man back at this point because of how long of a game Sony's been doing this. So all of those factors kind of like force Disney to try to operate around. And I think given all the bullshit they've been dealing with, they did a pretty good job of operating around it. There's some things like Hawkeye, Black Widow, I guess Marvel's Secret Invasion definitely that aren't good, but there's still other things that came out that were amazing. What If Season 2, for instance, amazing. I implore all of you to watch it. Guardians 3, even though technically that's just I guess a flash in the pan. It was like the, James Gunn's swan song, but it was still part of the MCU and it was a good movie. Quantum Mania could have been good, but I think they were being too safe with it. And also, like I said earlier, they didn't plan it out because they're shuffling things around. When they reshuffled, they didn't realize like they probably needed to let things bake a little more since you changed the release order of things. And then I think the last thing is that whole thing with the VFX artists. And what's that woman's name? I think her name's Victoria. She's basically like working these VFX artists to death. Like as soon as they're done with one project, they gotta move to the next one, not giving them time to breathe or not, like basically crunch for these movies because of how they make them. They don't make the MCU movies conventionally either. Like usually there's a script that's made and then they make the movie based off the script. But what they have concepts of things that they want to see, and then they kind of form a script around the VFX work done already instead of making VFX for a script. So that's how they're able to get these movies and shows out so quickly because they're kind of skipping steps.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't mean to like kind of.
I'm done. You got
No,
it.
yeah, it's fine because we kind of discussed it last episode, but yeah, I forgot who's that one chick, Ramona or whatever. Um, I forgot her name, Ravana something.
Ravonna Renslayer.
Yeah, Renslayer. Who do you think showed up at the end that she's looking at? Because I originally thought it was Kang, but it could be somebody else now.
It could be Kang, but now we don't know.
It might be Doctor Doom.
Because in the comics, her and Ravonna and Kang have a relationship. Oh man, you need to watch What If because I just made a connection. But they're basically time is not kind to their relationship. Like no matter what happens, either Ravonna ends up hating Kang, or Kang kills her, or like some bullshit always happens that ruins their relationship. They can never be together. So I thought it was curious that Ravonna is a part of the Loki Kang stuff, but we never see their romantic relationship happen. But I don't know. Maybe we'll get it now. But if we don't, there's not too many people who that could be. Doom is probably someone who that could be, or maybe a different variant.
Maybe.
Yeah, it could be.
It makes the most sense to be Kang or Doom, but you know they could surprise us with someone else.
I feel like it can't be Doctor Doom because like the beam was purple from what I can remember, so I don't really remember who else it could be. Like I mean,
I don't know.
Fucking Grimace, like what the fuck? Like who the fuck else? Maybe Thanos again. I don't know.
Well, Thanos in this timeline is gone. He's dust.
Yeah.
So unless some time shenanigans, well, we're dealing with time. Maybe some time shenanigans happen and Thanos comes back.
Yeah,
I mean,
another thing that you
I wouldn't put it past Marvel. So
you couldn't live with your failure, and where did that bring you? Back to me.
Another thing I wanted to point out is that remember when you said like Endgame like it was like at peak and they can never like make a movie like that ever again.
They can't.
I feel like
the closest was No Way Home, and even then,
yeah. I feel like back during Phase 1 when they had like the Avengers, everyone's like, oh, no one can top this. At least back then they had a plan on what they wanted to do. Like I think they were planning like Infinity War all the way back then. Now it feels like they don't know what the hell they want. Like they have Kang, then they have the Young Avengers that never happened, and then they have all sorts of different things that never worked out.
Let me try to tell you what their plan might have been. I think Phase 4 was supposed to be Young Avengers. I think Phase 5 was supposed to be more Chadwick and Spider-Man focused. Like Black Panther and Spider-Man were going to become like the new Tony Stark, Chris Evans, like the lead men of the shit to try to like, you know, bring everything together. But because Chadwick passed and Sony was like nah, you can't use him.
Sony was just Sony.
That a lot of the movies suffered. Like for one thing, like a lot of people don't like Captain Marvel. I think the Marvels was a good way to humanize her by having Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, play off of her, humanize her, soften her up a bit. They could have probably have done that with Spider-Man because Spider-Man and Captain Marvel had wasn't much, but they had interaction in Endgame, and they could have developed that bond more in, I guess, a Captain Marvel 2. Honestly, I feel like we should have gotten a Captain Marvel 2, and it should have been her dealing with the aftermath of the events of the first movie. Because in the Marvels, she destroys the Supreme Intelligence and fucks up Hala. And it's like a decent chunked flashback in that movie. I wish that flashback was a movie. That could have been the basis for a Captain Marvel 2. The Marvels feels like Captain Marvel 3 when you think about all the events that lead up to that. It's like something feels like it's missing. Kind of the same thing in Multiverse of Madness where they show the Illuminati killed Doctor Strange. Like, where is that movie? I feel like they want to be epic and jump around, but then you leave things like, I guess, for people to just like speculate. But it feels disconnected.
Yeah, it's just a mess right now.
But yeah, that's essentially Phase 4, Phase 5, and then Phase 6 would be, leading up to Secret Wars, Kang Dynasty, dealing with the Council of Kangs.
Isn't Phase 6 starting with Deadpool?
Phase 6 is starting with whatever will get your ass in that fucking movie theater.
I don't know. I legit thought it was actually Deadpool 3 because like from
I think they're pivoting. I think they're pivoting to Avengers versus X-Men. X-Men was supposed to be Phase 7, the Mutant Saga, but I think they gotta do something. They're in siege mode right now. Like, we gotta get them back. We're saving this for later. They broke the emergency glass, and they're like, bring.
Is Phase 5 even out yet?
We're in Phase.
Yeah,
5.
We're in the middle
currently
of Phase 5.
Okay.
Quantumania started Phase 5.
Oh, okay, that's what it started.
It's very confusing right now, but because usually it ends with an Avengers movie. So
exactly.
Yeah, I know.
I know exactly.
That's what kind of confused me because I'm like, I thought we were still in Phase 4.
No, we're not. I know Quantumania feels like a Phase 4 movie. It is a Phase 5.
It does feel like that. Man, I miss the Avengers.
What else? But just to wrap it up, because we got like a little time left.
All right.
Do you see a future in like Loki, or like do you see like a season 3, or is he going to appear in Deadpool 3? Like, what do you think is going to happen?
The showrunner, I think, of Loki said that they always meant Loki to be like 2 chapters of a book, and that book is closed. I think they said something about leaving it ambiguous so that there's more stories that you could tell within this universe, but I think, well, they also said something about the sun will shine on Loki and Thor again. So if that is to be true, Loki has to be either rescued or something pulled from the tree of Yggdrasil. You can edit that out, hopefully. He's got to be pulled. He's got to be pulled from the tree of the time tree. I don't even know what they're calling it. We'll just call it time tree because I can't think of what the name of it is. He's got to be pulled from there because I don't think Thor is going to join him on that throne. I think eventually Kang has to be stopped, or this multiversal thing has to be stopped, or something has to be reset so that Loki can leave that place. So the prophecy could be fulfilled. I don't know. I would love a Loki season 3, but I'm not sure what the point of it would be, because that is technically his story is solved. Even though there's stuff that they could do with like the young Loki and the other Loki variants. You could even do a Sylvie spinoff if you wanted to, but I think that story is done, and maybe Loki's story will continue through other people.
I feel like that Loki might show up in Secret Wars because
everyone's showing up in Secret Wars.
That's true, but like, I would love to see a reunion between Thor and Loki because I think it'd be very great.
It kind of needs to happen at this point, especially because the old variant Loki kind of like if you listen to him, it's like, yo, like, I missed my brother, and I wanted to go see him, and the minute I did, that's when I ended up at the TVA.
And
so because of like him talking about it so fondly, I think that affected Loki. He was already like changing. He was on his way from becoming an antagonist to a protagonist, but I think hearing old Loki say that caused a change in Loki. He realized that I don't have to do this shit. I can actually be a force of good.
And I wasn't really fond of how they were going towards Loki being like the hero, but the finale was extremely well done and very great. That I'm like, you know what? That actually makes it a lot better and makes a lot more sense. Because I definitely prefer the older Loki, like back when he was like a villain. Because especially after watching the first Avengers, I thought he did a fantastic job as like the villain. But hero Loki's also good.
I think what it is, the Asgardian characters, they always like they get humbled. Because even Thor was on some like, oh, I'm going to be king, and he was very arrogant about it, and he had to be humble. I think Loki went through that same humbling process, dealing with the TVA and learning about how Kang is like really like he's instead of there being free will, it's Kang's will. And once he realized that and he wanted to stop it, it was like maybe there is something to this. Because in Avengers, he wanted to basically be what Kang was doing, take people's free will and just control them. It's like, isn't this better? You don't have to do nothing. You just kneel and we're good. He said something about freedom being the greatest lie or something. And for it to turn around, it's like, we need free will. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I was on back then.
Oh yeah, you know what I think it was? I think in the Avengers, I don't know if they officially said this or not, but I think they said something about Thanos using the Mind Stone to amplify Loki's greed for power. Because if you notice from Thor to Avengers, Loki kind of had like a kind of a big change. And I think they said something about like Thanos giving him the Mind Stone, it amplified all those feelings of I want to be a king and made him like really evil.
Maybe.
But I thought it was better that way. I thought it was a much better villain in that sense.
Right.
Well, they don't do villains too well. Exception. I guess because they didn't kill him.
I don't even know if. Sorry, so like you were cutting out majorly. I don't know if if Craig got that. If Craig got that or not. I don't know what to do if that didn't go through. Because holy shit, you might have to re-say it.
Yeah.
What you want me to re-say?
Like
the thing that you just said earlier
about Loki.
Yeah.
Loki went on an adventure like Thor did to humble himself, because like Thor in the first movie, he was arrogant because thinking like this is all Odin's fault because Odin told both of them that they were made to be kings. Thor took that literally and got big-headed about it, and he had to be sent to Earth to be humble, to realize there's more to a king than being like the strong arm, arrogant. I'll with anyone. He had to learn humility, and I think Loki, with his travels through the TVA, learning about how he dies, learning that he killed Frigga, learning that he doesn't really like doing the things he does. He just craves the attention. I think going through all that made him realize, I could do better, and he does. And then figuring out the whole thing about, because him and Kang were very similar. And in the Avengers movie, he wanted to take everyone's freedom because he was like, "Isn't this better? Just kneel, and you don't have to do nothing. Freedom is the greatest lie humanity has ever told." And then he does basically a 180 once he realizes Kang is taking everyone's freedom. There's no free will. It's just Kang's will. And I think once Loki realized that and wanted to try to change the timelines for the better, that made him like realize, like he finally, it came full circle. He learned humility. He realized free will is important, and he finally earned his throne that he was destined to get by realizing it's not about you ruling them, it's about serving rather than them serving you.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are your guys, just to wrap up, what are your guys' overall thoughts about Loki? Like, you like it? Like, what would you rate it?
Loki is among one of my favorite characters in the MCU, maybe in fiction.
Yeah, I really like it. It's like I'd say I'd rate it like 8 or 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I give it a 9.
Yeah. It's in between. I would say 8.5.
Because I feel like it could have went on a little bit longer. And I also didn't like that they changed. Well, they changed it because of the whole major situation, the whole storyline thing. But I would have liked to see how the whole thing was going to originally play out. I feel like it would have been better.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it sits well in a 9.
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, so that's about it. There's no like comments to read because obviously episode 1's not out yet. So yeah, I just gotta say thank you again for watching. If you made it this far, I don't know how many of y'all made it this far. So you can find me on. Let me just pull up my fucking social media real quick. It should all be in the description though. You can find me on Instagram at Josie8356, on Snapchat at Costanza_2, Discord Josie9282. I know lots of numbers to memorize, but I just like numbers. I don't know. So where can we find you guys?
Nowhere.
Wait, on this podcast. You can find me wherever the Thunder Pals are at. I'm 1/3 of the Thunder Pals, so you know, I'm obviously my pseudonym is Iceberg Mike, but I don't really do many solo things. Like I have a YouTube channel, but like the only thing on there is cringy raps that I'm not that proud of, but I still did it, so it's still content, so I put it up there. But the majority of the stuff I do is under Thunder.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess that's about it. See you guys in the next one.
Yeah.
Peace. And most importantly, you guys have a good one.
Do your outro on my podcast.